There is in fact a precedence for toppling the high and mighty, arresting the guilty, even after their power has waned.
Here stood the Lion Restaurant for almost 400 years. It is believed that Pope Johannes XXIII stayed here after his expulsion from the Council of Constance. This happened after the Pope escaped from Freiburg while on the run and before he was arrested.
So who was this Pope who escaped to Breisach and was arrested?
Born in 1370 in the Kingdom of Naples into a noble but impoverished family, Baldassar Cossa was Pope John XXIII during 1410 to 1415 at the time of the Western Schism. The Catholic Church regards him as an anti-pope because he opposed the Pope, whom the Catholic Church now recognizes as the rightful successor to St. Peter.
Having studied law in Bologna, in 1392, Cossa entered the service of Pope Boniface IX, first working in Bologna and then in Rome.
At this time, Cossa also had some links with local groups of robbers, which were often used to intimidate his rivals and attack carriages. These connections added to his influence and power.
Here we come to Gutgesellen Gate, where the Pope, Johannes XXIII, was arrested. But why? He was one of the 7 cardinals who, in May 1408, deserted Pope Gregory XII, and with those following anti-Pope Benedict XIII from Avignon, convened the Council of Pisa, of which Cossa became the leader.
The aim of the council was to end the schism, and so Gregory XII and Benedict XIII were deposed, and the council elected the new pope, Alexander V, in 1409.
Gregory and Benedict ignored this decision, however, so that there were now 3 simultaneous claimants to the papacy. 3 popes, that's just too many.
The powerful Medici family had supported Cossa in his campaign to become cardinal and pope. Once in office, John XXIII made the Medici Bank the bank of the papacy, contributing considerably to the family's wealth and prestige. Johannes, or John, had his officials sell indulgences, a controversial practice that was protested in various parts of Europe.
As you may remember, a century later came along Martin Luther, who really rocked the boat.
Wishing to end the schism in the church, the Council of Constance was convened on the 30th of October 1413. The council resolved that all 3 popes should abdicate and a new pope be elected. But Johannes didn't like this idea, and he fled.
John XXIII traveled up the Rhine in a boat, while his friend, Frederick, the Duke of Austria, accompanied him with a small band of men on horseback. This gentleman, Sigismund, king of the Romans and head of the Holy Roman Empire, issued orders to all the powers on the Upper Rhine and in Swabia, stating that Frederick was now an outlaw, forfeiting his lands and possessions. In the meantime, Pope John XXIII and Frederick fled further upriver along the Rhine to the town of Freiburg im Breisgau, which recognized the Duke of Austria as its lord.
There, Sigismund's lieutenant caught up with them. He convinced Frederick that he stood to lose too much by harboring the fugitive pope, and the Austrian duke agreed to give him and John up and return to Constance. Johannes escaped and came here to Breisach.
During his absence, Johannes was deposed by the council, and upon his return he was tried for heresy, selling indulgences, causing division in the church, and immorality, and found guilty on all counts. Gibbon wrote, "The more scandalous charges were suppressed. The Vicar of Christ was accused only of piracy, rape, sodomy, murder, and incest. He refused to resign and was excommunicated." Excommunicated!
Cossa, as he was again called, was eventually later freed after a heavy ransom had been paid by the Medicis. He died in France. Of course, the circumstances for arresting a fleeing pope in 1415
and charging Bush
and Tony Blair with war crimes in a modern international war crimes tribunal are vastly different. But there is a place for arresting Bush and Blair, along with Dick Cheney, Condoleezza Rice, and Donald Rumsfeld, for crimes, indeed more egregious, in our time, in Iraq.